everyone, welcome back to my channel for a quick catch-up on all of the books that I read in Victober. Yes, you are facing my fully unmade face and me in possibly one of the coziest items of clothing that I own. Not Victober related, but highly, highly cozy and still bookish. And it is so comfortable that I refuse to take it off. October and November too are shaping up to be extremely busy months, for better or for worse. So I did not read as much as I had hoped to, and certainly not as much as I am used to doing during months when I have longer breaks. But I did really enjoy the books that I did read. And it means that I get to extend Victober a little bit longer. So the first book I read was Elizabeth Gaskell's Ruth, and this was really wonderful. And it feels strange saying that because the subject matter is not happy or wonderful at all, but it was fascinating in terms of the psychology and the social justice and moral commentary that it makes. So this follows Ruth, who is living sometime in the 1700s, it seems. And she is a seamstress in a shop, and she lives in this shop as well, and she is very much alone in the world. And an older man who, and when I say older, he is in his mid-20s, but she is only 16 or 17, takes an interest in her. And he is much richer than she is as well. And he convinces her through a series of circumstances to run away with him, and they start living together at this inn. And various things happen, and she ends up becoming a single mother. And this follows the fallout of that, and the people she meets along the way, and how she manages to live the rest of her life. And I loved the commentary that it had, because knowing the Victorian era, knowing the preconceptions that everyone has of the Victorian era, and indeed the Georgian era, you would think that the novel takes one look at it. But what I loved is that Elizabeth Gaskell balances that harsher, more condemning view with characters who question that view and bring what I perceive as a more liberal and a more modern perspective as well, without becoming laissez-faire about it. But it was really kind of wonderful just to see that conversation play out. So yes, thoroughly enjoyed yet another Elizabeth Gaskell. Another one I thoroughly enjoyed and that I just finished is The Small House at Allington by Anthony Trollope. This is book 5 in the Barchester series, although according to the back of this, it wasn't originally included in the Barsetshire series by Trollope himself, which is interesting. But it does still involve some of the same characters in minor roles, so it has been commonly accepted to put it in as book number 5. Also, some characters named Palliser show up, so there could be some crossover with his Palliser series as well. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know. This was truly wonderful. I really don't know how to summarize it because you are plunged straight into the lives of 3 or 4 different families of characters and how they all mix and interact with each other. And that sounds like it should be incredibly confusing, but it isn't. It's perfectly natural and seamless, and you fall in love with all of these characters straight away, because his characterization is, I would say, on par with Jane Austen. You get such a clear picture of who these people are meant to be. I loved spending time with all of them, even the ones that I was cursing inside my head, and it was just wonderful. The ending was also delightfully surprising. It's not quite the ending that I had expected, and I would assume that's why Trollope did it, because it, I assume, would not have been the ending that his readers would have expected, which, although disappointing, I kind of love. So yes, I can see why everyone raves about this novel, and I can't wait to finish Barsetshire soon and start the Pallisers. Now this has me ready to do both. And the final book that I have finished so far for Victober is The Way We Live Now, also by Anthony Trollope. I flew through this book, which is incredible given how big it is. My mother and I were racing each other to read this at various points, just so we could keep up with one another enough to talk about it over dinner. And it was just wonderful from beginning to end. Again, you get such a clear picture of all of these characters. The societal commentary is so incredible. Every little thing matters and is beautifully drawn and just such fun to experience, even when the tension is very high. And I just loved it. Such that I started watching the adaptation and didn't love it. It just did not hold up to the book. It's just perfect. It is absolutely perfect. I highly encourage people to read it and do not be intimidated by its size. And the final book that I started and plan to finish over the next couple of days is the Penguin Book of Victorian Women in Crime, which was put together by Michael Sims. But this is a collection of short stories or small novella-type pieces about lady detectives that were published in the Victorian era. These, of course, fit the New Woman prompt, and they are all authors that are new to me, and I would assume to many of you as well. Given that this is a collection of short stories, I know I am going to love some more than others. That is just the nature of short story collections or amalgamated collections. But what I also love about this is in reading some of the stories, I feel like I have heard of some of these stories before. For example, I've only read the first one, which was The Mysterious Countess by W.S. Hayward from 1864. And I feel like I've heard that referenced on some sort of documentary that I watched. I feel like it might have been a Lucy Worsley, but I'm not sure. Because there's a certain scene involving a crinoline and removing it in order to accomplish something that I know I've heard of before, and I can't think where. So that's been a wonderful surprise, and I'm excited to see if any of the other stories will spark those same sorts of memories. But yes, it's a wonderful little collection. I'm so pleased that I found it. And I will probably let you know more if any other interesting thoughts come up in my November wrap-up. So there you have my Victober reads for the month. Not as much as I was hoping for, but delightful in what I did read. And let me know down below what you ended up reading, what you thought of it. And until next time, be safe, be well, and happy reading. Bye everyone.